was $747.08. Hi everybody, welcome back to our channel, or welcome to our channel. My name is Mel. I am one half of Hustlin' Hooks with my husband, Adine. We are full-time resellers slash business owners, and I thought since I don't get to go to the office very often now, that I would still sort of make my presence known and go over what's selling for us. A lot of times when people move to liquidation or wholesale, or like we have vendors sending clothes to us, we don't really get to go over what we found at a thrift store anymore, but it's still relevant to know what is selling. So today, that's what I'm gonna be doing. I'm going to be covering 15 sales that have been relatively quick for us and have all sold within the last week. So let's just get right into that. So these aren't in any particular order. There's no sold for the highest or sold most recently, so just bear with me. These are all just 15 sales that sold within the last week. The first one is this Eileen Fisher. It's a vest, which I don't think a vest is being super in right now, but this one sold again quickly. It's got sequins on it, so it's kind of like a party vibe. And that sold, as you can see, for $35. And then we do run a model where they pay a flat rate of shipping now. So they covered that first class, $575. I personally like this one. As you know, I'm a fan of vintage clothing, and this was a really awesome pattern. It was a vintage Lands' End Fair Isle. It's a quarter snap, so as you can tell by the decor behind me probably, we are in the holiday cold winter season. So it makes sense that a lot of these sales are probably going to be jackets, pants, things like that. The odd number of $23.76 is because we do bulk offers. So that was probably 15% off. We also have a everyday coupon of 10%. So $23.76, and again, they covered shipping of $875. So it's fall, it's football season, college teams, pro teams, lots of football happening right now. I love it. This is a Steve & Barry's Michigan State jacket. Very cool, very vintage look to it. It looks like leather, but it's like fake leather. It's whatever that is, poly something, you know, that you can't pronounce. Very heavy, that's just why they paid $14.75 in shipping for it. And then I believe that was an offer that we took of $35. This Cozy Cat I'm sharing because it's a brand that I hadn't heard of, and for an offer of $18 on just kind of a basic shirt, I think is a pretty good seller. This is what we would call our bread and butter pieces, things that are selling between 15 and 20, and then they pay shipping on top of that. The majority of our sales are really in that range now because of the clothing model and the volume model that we've moved to. So this would be an average sale for us. They paid $18, and as you can see, they paid $875. Juicy Couture, I love these pieces. They're so 90s. This is a velour full zip top. We've sold a number of these now. I love it when I see them come in. This one didn't have any crazy patterns on the back. We've sold other ones for hire if they have, you know, a gemstone, rhinestone dog, or the big spell out pattern on the back. Those are obviously a little bit more sought after, but definitely happy with this with the $25.46. So I just said most things were winter, and now I'm gonna contradict myself and show you a pair of sandals that sold, but it's always summer somewhere, not everywhere gets snow, and Birkenstock is always going to be a great brand to sell no matter the season. Like you can see here, these probably maybe would have sold for more in the summer. However, $31, very happy with that. And they paid shipping. We charge $11.75 for shipping on shoes. I'm not gonna say plus the shipping on top for every order, now that you know that we are charging the customer for that flat shipping, and you'll just be able to see it on those pop-ups there. Okay, so Nike can be a pretty saturated brand, and I'm popping these up together because one of these is pre-owned, that's the $12 one, and the other one is new, and that sold for $30, and neither of these really sat for very long. So even though there's a lot of it in the market, don't let that deter you from listing a brand, because people are still looking for that. It's a very well-known brand, and this is like gray classic style, so Nike. Okay, so this next one is a vintage hat, which we don't sell a lot of. Very classic design. The brand is Lancaster. So if you see that, the comps on that brand specifically were very strong. There was a good sell-through rate on it, and that was our full price of $19.95, which you can see is what it sold for. Those SAS shoes, or as I say, SAS, those sassy shoes, are still selling well for us. This one, again, new, sold for the full price of $79.95. I will say with these newer ones, they tend to have a higher return rate, and I think that's just because the foot size is so specific with their widths. So keep that in mind, but they've been very good sales for us. This XXX Rude, or Triple X Rude, is a brand that I hadn't heard of before, but again, like the Lancaster hat, it had solid sell-through rate. It did sell for $20.36, which would be the price after a percentage offer discount. Very fast sell-through rate on that brand of jeans. So happy to see them go really quickly. And that's right at our mid-range price. So that's exactly the type of thing that we would be looking to sell all day, every day. Okay, I included these grizzly bear paw slippers because I wanted to make a note of gauging items for your store. I wouldn't normally have paid for these. They came with a vendor box. The sell-through rate just isn't super strong on these. They're kind of like a very niche, very particular thing. However, when I happened to price these out. I don't price everything out, but I was in the office the day that these were coming out of the box. And I did because I knew that they were gonna be kind of like a Christmas gift type of situation. So I knew that season was coming up to it, and that's one good thing to keep in mind when you are looking for inventory. Something you may not normally pick up might be something that you do just because you know the upcoming market, if that makes sense. All right, this next one is a 2-for-1. I know the Lululemons get a lot of attention. However, I find better success with their men's clothing, especially tops. The bottom one is a top, but it's this very specific Swiftly Tech, which is just that, it's that in and of itself had better sell-through rate. And then the top one, obviously I didn't have the specific name for it. It was just like a men's long sleeve. So they both are very solid sellers. As you can see, 26 and 45. Those are both offers. Both would have been first class. Vintage Doc Martens, those don't really need an explanation. Those are always gonna be hot sellers. I listed these, they sold practically immediately. I took an offer. The insides, you can't see from this cover, are kind of beat up and they were gonna need new insoles. So I thought that was definitely fair, especially because again, they were gonna pay shipping. And the shipping on that is higher because Doc Martens are heavy. If you've never picked one up, if you ever see one, pick them up. They have some weight to them, especially the vintage ones, which is why they're sought after. They're very well made. This Lily was also super fast. I listed it, it's sold. That's the first price, and it got watchers immediately, and someone sent me an offer of 55 and I countered with 65. But even before I had sent it, it sold for full price to the same person, and they followed up with a message saying they just didn't want to wait, because you can see when you send offers if it's sent to somebody else. So I think they just didn't want to miss out, which is, you know, that's great for me. So $75. I did see some that had sold for up in the hundreds, but the sell-through rate wasn't extremely strong. So I thought I listed it at the right price, and I'm perfectly happy with a $75 sale. The first time that I saw the brand Quacker Factory, I thought, this is so weird. This is like such a cutesy, like grandma brand. But now that I know how quick it sells, I enjoy seeing it. We recently got a bunch of it with one of our shipments, and I was very happy. A lot of it was new tags that have already sold before this week. These are just the ones that happen to get listed and sell this week. Just a basic pair of pants. These ones aren't even new with tags, and that $19.95 is, you know, right where we want to be in terms of our sale price. So Quacker Factory, I don't think you'll forget that one. Quack, like a duck. All right, so let's do some numbers. Let's pretend that those were the only 15 things that we sold this week. I think it was 17, maybe 18 with the 2-for-1s, but let's do some quick math and figure out what we made off of those items. I think some people didn't like Adine's on the cardboard writing, so I grabbed a official piece of paper. All right, so the gross sales, I added those all up, and of those that I showed you, it was $747.08. Now that's gross. This does include all of those shipping costs because that's what gross number includes. Sometimes it ends up being a little bit more to ship items than we allotted for, and sometimes it ends up being a little less. It all comes out in the wash. Now I did go ahead and subtract those numbers out again because if you're not doing the flat rate shipping model, I just wanted to show how you would get to your net. So let's subtract out the shipping, which was $160.75. Now we're also going to subtract any fees that you pay on this number. And our fees are calculated off the shipping, so it is important to include those in your gross. We are going to use an average of 15% because with promoted, we pay 17.5% in fees, and then with regular, it's about 13%. So in the middle, we're gonna go 15% in fees, which would be $112.07. And then with a cost of good average of $4 per item, sometimes it's obviously more for that when we have like pieces that sell better. We also cover all the shipping of all the items too. So I didn't include that. I just went with a $4 per item cost of goods, which was $68, which leaves us with $406.27. So there you have it. That's approximately what we would have made off of it. So those numbers obviously aren't exact, but hopefully walking you through how I got to that number gives you an idea of what you would have to do to get to what you're making net per week. Obviously, we do have overhead costs. I didn't put that in there because that's just very micro and very specific to us. This hopefully just served to show you that you can sell a few items a week if you are pickier, if you only pick the things that sell higher. And you can sell those to put a very decent amount of money directly into your bank account every week, even after all of the things that you pay for it. All right, so that is gonna do it for me. It was just 15 fast, to the point sales. We wanted to show you what we've got going out the door. Hopefully this is helpful. I try to include brands that are selling for a higher price because those are the ones you definitely wanna be on the lookout for. But I also kind of snuck in some of our basic normal sales as well, since really that's gonna be the majority of the type of stuff you're selling. I'm gonna start to do these in a regular installment. Yes, it's probably gonna be the majority of clothing. We might sneak in a couple hard goods depending on if anything sells from our older store, which we have listed a few things recently, so it's not like we're letting that store completely die out, but these are gonna be the majority of clothes and shoes. Not too shabby, even if you just dabble in it. You can check out some things you can look out for at the thrifts if you happen upon them. Until next week, you guys, take care. It was great checking in with everyone.